You wake because something has entered the camp. Not because you heard a roar. Because the night suddenly became quiet. The insects have stopped. The people beside you are still. Beyond the fading fire, dry grass bends in a direction the wind is not blowing. For most of human history, this was not a nightmare. It was an ordinary reason to open your eyes. Tonight, you are sleeping tens of thousands of years before electric light, locked doors, weather forecasts, and emergency services. There is no wall between your body and the landscape. There is only darkness, a ring of tired people, and a fire that is losing strength. Would you survive until sunrise? At first, the challenge seems simple. Stay close to the fire. Hold a spear. Do not wander away. But surviving a prehistoric night was never one problem. It was cold, smoke, insects, injury, thirst, predators, strangers, and exhaustion arriving together. Your ancestors did not defeat those dangers with bravery alone. They survived because they understood details you no longer notice. Begin with the ground beneath you. It is not soft soil shaped conveniently around your back. It is hard, uneven, damp in places, and filled with stones, roots, thorns, and crawling life. At Sibida Cave in South Africa, archaeologist Lynn Wadley and her colleagues found layers of ancient plant bedding dating back roughly 77,000 years. People had gathered grasses and other plants to create sleeping surfaces, and some of the leaves came from aromatic plants with insect-repelling properties. That sounds almost comfortable. It was also essential technology. A raised or layered bed separates skin from cold ground. It reduces pressure from stone. It can discourage insects, absorb moisture, and mark a cleaner place inside a crowded shelter. Could you choose the right plants in darkness? You might grab whatever looks soft. Your ancestors knew which leaves irritated skin, which stems snapped into sharp points, and which plants carried useful smells. They also knew when bedding had become dangerous. Old plant layers collected dirt, waste, parasites, and food scraps. Evidence at Sibida suggests that bedding was sometimes burned, clearing out pests and preparing the living area for new material. To you, burning a bed sounds absurd. To them, it may have been sanitation. Now the temperature drops. Even in a warm region, open ground can lose heat quickly after sunset. In colder environments, the fall can become deadly, especially when wind and moisture are involved. Your modern body is accustomed to insulation that requires almost no skill. Fabric is woven, clothing is fitted, and shelter traps warm air around you. Here, warmth must be built. Animal hides help, but a hide is not automatically a blanket. It must be removed, cleaned, scraped, stretched, dried, softened, and maintained. Without that work, it can remain heavy, greasy, stiff, and quick to rot. You pull one around your shoulders anyway. It smells of smoke and animal fat. The edge is damp. Another person is already holding the warmer half. Do you fight for it? That would be a mistake. A prehistoric camp is not a collection of independent survivalists. It is a network in which tools, food, warmth, knowledge, and vigilance move between people. The child beside you may contribute little tonight, but will carry knowledge later. The injured hunter may need food now, but may know the safest water source. The elder may move slowly, but recognize a predator call before anyone else. Your survival depends on people who cannot all repay you immediately. That is not weakness. It is the system. The fire at the center of camp is part of that system too. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, researchers have found heat-altered material deep inside the cave in very ancient layers, showing that early humans or their ancestors were interacting with fire on a timescale measured in hundreds of thousands of years and more. Fire changed the night. It produced warmth, cooked food, hardened wooden points, extended social time, and made some predators more cautious. But fire did not create an invisible force field. A hungry lion does not disappear because flames exist. A hyena does not respect the symbolic meaning of the campfire. Wind can drive smoke into your shelter. Rain can drown the coals. And poor fuel can vanish before morning. Someone must maintain it. That person needs dry wood, tinder, patience, and an understanding of airflow. Too much fuel wastes a scarce supply. Too little allows the protective light to collapse. Could you relight it after the final ember dies? You have seen fire made in films. Two sticks rub together, smoke appears, and a flame rises seconds later. Real fire making is less forgiving. Wood species matter. Dryness matters. Tinder preparation matters. Hand position, pressure, speed, and endurance matter. Your palms blister before the first thread of smoke appears. Your ancestors may also have preserved fire instead of creating it from nothing each day. Embers can be protected under ash, carried in suitable material, or kept alive through careful attention. Fire was not a trick. It was a chain of knowledge that could not be skipped. The flames rise again, and faces return from the darkness. This is when the camp begins to talk. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied conversation among the Jew, Honski of southern Africa. She found that daytime speech often centered on practical work, while firelight conversations were more likely to include stories, distant people, social bonds, and imaginative worlds. The night was dangerous. It was also where culture became larger than the present moment. A story could preserve a warning about water, animals, conflict, or behavior. It could connect younger listeners to people they had never met and places they had never seen. Around the fire, survival information became memorable. You might think stories are a luxury after food and shelter. What if stories are part of the shelter? A rule spoken once can be forgotten. A vivid account of the person who ignored tracks near the river can remain in the mind for years. Your ancestors inherited thousands of nights of tested experience. You arrive with none of it. Then the wind changes. Smoke pours across your face. Your eyes water, your throat tightens, and sparks land on the bedding. You move away from the fire. Now the darkness behind you feels closer. Human vision is poorly suited to deep night compared with that of many predators. Your eyes adjust, but not enough to reveal everything hidden in grass or broken terrain. A cat can move without announcing each step. A snake can enter the warm edge of camp without understanding that it has crossed a boundary. And insects do not care about the fire at all. Mosquitoes whine around your ears. Fleas and lice exploit bodies, hides, bedding, and clothing. Ticks wait in vegetation. A bite may be irritating. It may also transmit disease. You cannot identify which danger matters. So every crawling sensation becomes important. Sleep begins to fragment into short, nervous pieces. Your head drops. A branch snaps. You wake with your heart racing. This reaction is ancient. Your brain can begin a fear response before conscious thought has fully identified the threat. That speed is useful when the shape is a leopard. It is exhausting when the shape is a shadow. How long could you remain alert? Not as long as you imagine. Sleep is not optional maintenance that a determined person can postpone forever. Attention weakens, judgment deteriorates, and your body begins forcing brief lapses. Your greatest enemy may not attack from the darkness. It may arrive inside your own nervous system. Anthropologist David Sampson and his colleagues studied nighttime activity among Hadza hunter-gatherers in Tanzania. Across 20 days of observation, there were only about 18 minutes when everyone in the group was scored as asleep at the same time. One or more people were awake during almost the entire shared sleeping period. This did not require a single guard staring into darkness all night. Different ages and different natural sleep schedules created overlapping wakefulness. Older people tended to rise earlier. Younger people often stayed awake later. Parents woke with children. Sleep shifted across the camp like a moving wave. Researchers call this the sentinel hypothesis. A sentinel is a watcher. The idea is simple. Group sleep becomes safer when somebody is usually awake. Even when no formal guard has been assigned. This is where your modern sleep habits become a weakness. You expect one long private block of sleep. You expect silence. You expect darkness to mean that responsibility has ended. In camp, sleep is social. Someone coughs, feeds the fire, checks a child, listens to the animals, and wakes another person when concern becomes real. You are not protected because you can remain alert forever. You are protected because alertness is shared. Then the sound comes again. Grass shifts beyond the light. A pair of eyes appears low to the ground. Everyone near the fire changes at once. One person adds wood. Another gathers children inward. Two adults stand with long wooden spears while others lift stones and burning branches. The weapon in your hand looks primitive. But that does not mean it is simple. At Schoningen in Germany, archaeologists uncovered finely worked wooden hunting weapons from the Middle Pleistocene. Experimental archaeologist Anmieki Milks and her colleagues later tested replicas of ancient-style wooden spears and showed that trained throwers could use them effectively at meaningful distances. The important word is trained. A spear does not erase fear. It concentrates the result of balance, wood selection, shaping, experience, and coordinated movement. You have the object. You do not have the skill. Your hands tighten. The point shakes. You are about to throw too early. An experienced hunter pushes the shaft downward. Wait. The eyes move. The animal is circling, testing the smell and shape of the group. Predators also face risk. A damaged paw, broken tooth, or deep puncture can prevent future hunting. And an animal that cannot hunt may starve. So the camp becomes loud. Bodies rise together. Spears point outward. Stones strike the ground. Firebrands cut orange arcs through the air. You expected ancient survival to require silence. Sometimes survival required becoming impossible to ignore. The eyes disappear. Nobody chases them. That restraint matters. Running into darkness would break the group. Abandon the fire, and enter terrain the predator understands better than you do. Victory is not killing the animal. Victory is remaining together. The camp settles, but nobody truly relaxes. Predators are only one danger. Other humans may be more unpredictable. A stranger could bring trade, news, marriage ties, help, or violence. The darkness hides intention as effectively as it hides teeth. This is why social knowledge matters again. Your ancestors recognize voices, relationships, obligations, and old disputes. They know which neighboring groups share resources and which encounters require caution. You see only another silhouette. Could you tell a welcome visitor from a threat before that person reached the fire? Your modern face reading skills are not enough. Context is everything. A gesture that means peace in one group may mean nothing in another. A path used safely last season may cross a new territorial boundary now. Prehistoric humans were not wandering without rules. Their landscapes were filled with memory, ownership, kinship, and consequence. You lack the map. Hours pass. Cold reaches its deepest point before dawn. Fuel runs low. Your back aches. Your eyes burn. And every decision feels slower. You drink from a skin container without knowing how much water remains for morning. You eat a small piece of cooked meat without knowing who gathered it, who needs it, or whether the smell will attract scavengers. Even basic actions have social costs. That is the part survival stories often remove. They place one heroic person against nature. Real prehistoric survival placed a dependent person inside a community. The counterintuitive truth is that your ancestors did not survive because each individual was tougher than you. They survived because no individual had to contain the entire solution. One person knew plants, another read tracks, another shaped wood, another remembered roots, another calmed children, another woke early. Knowledge lived between bodies, not inside a single genius. Near sunrise, the darkness finally thins. Grass becomes visible again. Tree trunks separate from shadows. The cold remains, but the unknown world begins returning its edges. You have survived one night. Not because your spear was sharp enough. Not because your fear disappeared. Not because the fire solved every danger. You survived because someone chose the bedding. Someone preserved the embers. Someone understood the animal. Someone stayed awake. And everyone stood together when the eyes appeared. Your modern bedroom seems completely different. A mattress lifts you from the ground. Walls block wind and predators. Glass seals out insects. A switch produces light without tinder. But the ancient system has not vanished. Other people maintain the electricity, test the water, build the walls, monitor weather, treat disease, and answer alarms while you sleep. Your privacy rests on invisible cooperation. Your comfort is collective knowledge made quiet. So tonight, when the room becomes still, remember why the silence does not frighten you. You wake because something has entered the camp. And you survive because you were never facing the night alone.